So I wanted to take a moment to talk about something that is a literal hill that I will die on in the narcissistic abuse community. Something I hear people say quite often is that only toxic people will project, but that's not true because literally everyone does it. If you don't know what projection is, it's when someone assumes that everyone around them acts, behaves, thinks the same way that they do. This is why if you're with an abuser, they might accuse you of things like cheating or trying to do people dirty because they do those things, and so they assume that everyone else does them also, and they may accuse you of those things. That's actually a really hidden way to know what a narcissist is thinking, is what they accuse you of. But we all do this, because how many times have you ignored red flags from a narcissist because you thought they must not mean it that way, because you're assuming that they think and act and feel the same way that you do. I remember a long time ago I was actually with someone who was pretty narcissistic and also kind of antisocial, and their psychologist actually asked them to bring me into their next session. And I went with them to their next session, and that psychologist sat me down and said, look, I just want you to know that if you choose to stay with this person, they don't love you, they can't love you, they're not capable of it. They are not capable of loving people the way that you do. And it did not compute, and it did not make sense. And I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. How is that possible? And she literally said, not everyone loves, not everyone has empathy. And it doesn't make any more sense to this person how it's possible for you to love or have empathy than it does for you to be sitting here saying, but how is it possible that they don't? That was an example of me projecting, because I was assuming that this person had to feel the same way about people that I do. But not everybody does. And we're all guilty of assuming. That's why we have such a tendency to ignore red flags. And that's why we end up getting ourselves into a massive amount of trouble, because we assume that everyone around us thinks, feels, and acts the same way that we do.